Let me say this, because this is the team I picked to have the 1 seed and make the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, and I expect them to lose this game. I think that the cluster injuries on the offensive line, the plus Mike Evans being out is just it's a bridge too far for this specific game. If Baker is able to overcome that and they win this game, Brew, I think he has to be number 1 on Brew's ballot after this week.
I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this very specifically because Nick just said that I think this is too much for Baker, et cetera, even though he thinks this is the number 1 team. Baker's a top 4 quarterback, all this amazing stuff. He thinks that Baker's this amazing quarterback, top 4 quarterback in the NFL right now. But, they don't have, Mike Evans and some cluster injuries, yada, yada, yada. When Jalen Hurts and this Philadelphia Eagles team last year played the Bucs, again, you had A.J. Brown not there. You had Devontae Smith not there. You had Lane Johnson not there. You had multiple linemen going in and out because they were getting banged up. I think it was Cam Jurgens. You had multiple defensive players going in and out, but it was inexcusable for Jalen Hurts to not be able to win that game. It was inexcusable. It was inexcusable, and just the testament to who Jalen Hurts is not as a quarterback. It was just this retribution of, he's just such a problem for this team. He's not good. And this was at a time when Nick Wright himself said, I don't think this Philadelphia Eagles team is a good team. I don't believe in the coordinator. I don't believe in the defensive coordinator. I don't believe in Kellen Moore. I don't believe in Fangio. I don't believe in Cooper DeJean, Mitchell, etc., etc. And yet all the way to a quarterback, mind you, who had been to a Super Bowl in 22. So the year, not the past year, but the year before. And then in 23, carried a mess of a team, a mess of a coaching staff to 10-1, playoffs, etc., etc. But gets no benefit of that. First off, what am I'm missing the low-hanging fruit. Even the playoff game in 23, inexcusable for Jalen Hurts, even though dislocated finger, messed up knee, and no A.J. Brown. And fired coordinators and retiring players, Kelsey, etc., etc. But it's inexcusable. It's just that Jalen Hurts is not good enough. And now we're going to say this Philadelphia Eagles team, who Nick Wright believes has not been playing well, that they have not been a good team. I've seen enough. This team is not going to be able to defend the Super Bowl. Now they're injured. They're banged up. The Eagles, mind you. And yet, if they lose this game, if Baker wins this game, it's proof how amazing Baker is and how he's the MVP and blah, 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 blah. What nonsense is that? What nonsense is that? Nick saying Kevin Patullo is having terrible games, terrible coordinating. This defense is not as good as it was. The O-line's not as good as it was. A.J. Brown upset, disgruntled, blah, blah, blah. Nick Sirianni's a bad coach. But then if Baker Mayfield and the Bucs win this game, it's just proof of his greatness. I mean, what scenarios are we inventing here? Don't you understand this is why this is a lose-lose situation, specifically in every single time for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles? Was Joe Flacco the MVP because they beat the Green Bay Packers? Jared Goff for beating the Baltimore Ravens? Like I don't understand in that way. I really don't. And I just love how we want to just talk about the injuries for the Bucs, but then none of the talk about the injuries for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like they're not dealing with their own series of injuries here. Like they didn't have to deal with it even just last game against the Rams. And like they're not going with it with a brand new coordinator who's clearly not having a great go at it right now. And now the Eagles are on the road, and I guess they have to just continue to win every single game they play. There's no margin of error. There's no room for them to lose a single game. None. Zero. And if they do, it's a testament to the greatness of the other quarterback. And if the Eagles win, it's just, well, the Bucs, they're all injured. This is the best team in the NFL, but they're just banged up right now. Interesting. That almost makes sense. I mean, Nolan Smith, he's on IR. He's really important. Zach Bond, he's injured. He's really important. Jahad Campbell, he's banged up. He's injured. He's really important. Adoree Jackson, he's important. Lane Johnson, he's banged up. He didn't even finish the game last weekend. He's really important. But like, no. Nope, not allowed to talk about it. Not allowed to talk about it. Because something, Mike Evans, something O-line. Come on, man. Come on. It just gets so ridiculous. It really does. I mean, think about the times that Jalen Hurts has led the Philadelphia Eagles to big wins with an injured roster, limited, whether AJ Brown's out there, Devontae, both of them, whatever it may be, whatever the various situations that Jalen Hurts has had to overcome over the years. But gets no benefit of the doubt for that, right? No one's like, oh, that's an MVP win right there. Oh, man, that's a big-time win right there. I just... I tell you, man. Why wasn't Jalen Hurts' win against the Rams team, against this amazing defense, against Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Sean McVay? Why was that not a solidifying MVP performance? Why was Jalen Hurts putting the Philadelphia Eagles on his back week one, literally doing it all himself? Why was that not an MVP performance? Against the Kansas City Chiefs on the road, Arrowhead, where Jalen Hurts didn't make a single mistake in this tight, close, suffocating type game, where he made the biggest throw and the biggest play of the entire game, that throw to Devontae, where they brought the house. I showed you the freeze frame. They brought the house on him. He had an avalanche of Chiefs defensive players just all in his face. But he didn't throw for 280 yards and 9 touchdowns, so it wasn't good enough. Even though he made the big plays when it mattered most. When the other day, Nick said when comparing Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes, that it's not about statistics, it's about making the plays when they matter most. And yet, Jalen Hurts does that, and it's like, yeah, he did it, but what'd you say about Jalen Hurts? Oh, I said that. Oh, well, I can't hear you. It's just ridiculous. It really is. It just, everything is consistently twisted and backwards when we have discussions about Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. And I actually, for the life of me, don't understand why. At this point, I actually genuinely, the closest I can get to it is that people just don't think his game itself is like pleasing to the eyes. Like when you just watch it, it just doesn't like look as smooth. When Matthew Stafford drops back and lets it rip, you're like, that's smooth. When Lamar Jackson moves in space and scrambles, you're like, that's smooth. It's so fast. When Patrick Mahomes makes when he scrambles and makes a big throw, you're just like, oh, that throw is amazing. But with Jalen Hurts, I guess, like, they just don't feel it. Jalen Hurts rips off a 19-yard run on a scramble in the Super Bowl, and they in their minds it's like Jared Goff was trying his best to just like run as fast as he could, and you're just like, oh, that was ugly. I mean, yeah, good thing the field was wide open for him, but like, whoa, that was ugly. Or like when, Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball, it's just like, I don't know, they think that he just lobs it up and just hopes the best for AJ or Devontae to come down with it, even though he's working, wide receivers 3 and 4 and backup tight ends and whatnot. Like, I don't know. I mean, I really don't. I really don't. It just doesn't make sense. And then again, think about it. People have true concerns and issues with this offensive coordinator, and yet Jalen Hurts is not given any wiggle room with that. The most important relationship in sports, as I showed this before, Coach Dan Casey, the relationship between the quarterback and the offensive play caller is the most important relationship in all of sports. And yet Jalen Hurts is having a revolving door. And you're like, well, Baker Mayfield's kind of dealing with that type of stuff. He clearly is having better coordinators. He's clearly has better coordinators. And when Jalen Hurts has even a remotely competent coordinator, he gets to the Super Bowl or wins the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield do that? No. Baker Mayfield threw the ball 18 times against the Washington Commanders. That's not a lot of times. Why does Baker Mayfield get credit for playing pretty well, even though he fumbled the ball, lost the game at home against a rookie quarterback, but he gets more credit for that game than Jalen Hurts does for balling out in a Super Bowl and winning and getting the Super Bowl MVP. Do you guys realize that? I need us to all really understand this right now. Baker Mayfield, who threw the ball 18 times, had 18 pass attempts for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he rushed for 23 yards on 7 carries, and having a game-losing fumble against the Commanders gets more credit than Jalen Hurts, who went 20 for 28, 246 yards, 1 touchdown, rushed for 16, and had 3 touchdowns, had 4 total touchdowns, and no, they were not all touch pushes. Hanging 55 points. Gets more credit than Jalen Hurts going 17 for 22, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown, 3 total touchdowns in the Super Bowl, being the leading rusher in the Super Bowl. Yet Baker Mayfield gets more credit for losing, not even throwing the ball 19 times. I mean, we talk about the cutoff. It's got to be 30. The dude doesn't even reach 20 pass attempts. But he gets all the benefit of the doubt. All the benefit of the doubt. Jalen Hurts gets none of it. None of it. And then even in that playoff game in 23, when again, dislocated finger, messed up knee, no run support, no A.J. Brown, one of the worst defenses in the NFL, if not the worst defense in the NFL, especially as they were playing while they were losing to backup quarterbacks. He goes 25 for 35. He throws for 250 yards. He throws for a touchdown. Again, getting no run support whatsoever. They average 2.8 yards per carry and a whopping 42 yards. And the defense, again, I broke down that game before. It was insane. I mean, Baker threw for 337 yards, and like 250 of those yards were all after catch from missed tackles. And Jalen Hurts, by the way, was pressured 22 times. 22 times. 22 times. 22 times. And yet he played better with all that pressure than Patrick Mahomes played in the pressure in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. And again, don't say, well, Patrick Mahomes won. Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl MVP. When is he ever going to get the benefit of the doubt? When is he ever going to get the benefit of the doubt? That's what I want to know. Because you want to say, well, the O-line, it's not fair. Patrick Mahomes is undefeated in Super Bowls when he has a good O-line. Well, now Jalen Hurts has a mess of an O-line, a mess of a defense, takes care of the ball, does everything he can to help put his team in a position to win, but the defense is certainly not helping out. The offense is not certainly helping out, but we just say Jalen Hurts wasn't good enough. And then when the team is actually good enough to not be a mess, Jalen Hurts elevates that team even more, wins the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl MVP, plays unbelievable. And it's just, well, it's because it's the team. The O-line is so good. A.J. Brown, Devontae, Saquon Barkley. Please, how does it make sense? I need to know, how does this stuff make any sense? How? I mean, this was the wild card round for the Kansas City Chiefs against the Miami Dolphins. Patrick Mahomes had a 56.1 completion percentage, threw the ball 262 yards, 6.4 yards per attempt, and 1 touchdown. Jalen Hurts had a 71.4 completion percentage, 250 yards, 7.1 yards per attempt, and 1 touchdown. And passer rating, 100.9, Patrick Mahomes, 83.6. And Jalen Hurts was pressured 7 more times. 7 more times. One's a hero, one's a loser. One's a hero, one's a loser. I don't know. I'll never know, I guess. I'll never know. Someone's got to help me out here. How do we make sense of this? Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Hurts or Baker more likely to look like MVP Sunday? And what does it mean if the Eagles lose this game? What does it mean if they win this game? What does it mean if the Bucs win? What it means if the Bucs lose? I mean, the Eagles apparently aren't even that good of a team. But if Baker Mayfield wins that game, then he's the MVP. And if Jalen Hurts wins that game, then it means nothing. Even though Nick thinks that they're the best team in the NFL, second best team under the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. But it's because they're injured because of, they don't have Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. But when the Eagles have their injuries, and they're playing not so well, then it just means that they're just not good. I mean, like, you got to help me out here. You got to help me out here. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.